Oh, just started all over again. You missed it. Take a deep breath. Edgar Snowden. My brother Eddie is here. Transformed. He's here with Julian Assange.
Huh?
Julian will appear perhaps later in the program if the Ecuadorians will let him speak English. But other than that, we're going to have Eddie in his present incarnation talk about his daddy. Because Daddy's Day is coming up and we're recording everything that every man says about his father.
Wow.
And we're sending it to Bluffdale, Utah to be recorded because this is America.
I was telling Neil before the show that I think my dad and my parents wanted me to be awake. And they had unusual but successful ways of teaching me this.
They would hit you.
Well, even before then, when I was a tiny, tiny baby, it's hard to imagine, little me. And I think you know this, they read by Dr. Watson, who was a behaviorist.
Not Dr. Spock?
No, Watson.
Not Dr. Sperber?
No, this was before Spock was fortunately freed people from Dr. Watson.
Oh, Dr. Watson, wow.
Dr. Watson was proud of the fact that he could show a little girl, maybe 2 years old, a cat, and she'd be happy to see the cat. And then he'd hit a loud gong that would hurt her ears, and was so proud. He has a tape of it. Look how I've trained this little girl when she sees the cat to hold her ears and be in pain.
Dr. Watson.
Yes.
Yes, I bet he was related to Sherlock Holmes.
Perhaps, I hope not. So Dr. Watson said, behaviorist as he was, that we should feed the child at the end of every 4 hours. Don't spoil your young baby.
Watson, was he related to Skinner?
Yes, Skinner was a disciple of him.
Oh, was a disciple of him, not the other way around?
No, Skinner was in the 50s.
Wow.
So my dutiful parents, on their first...
Played loud sounds for you as a baby.
Oh, that would have been an improvement. They decided to feed me, be good parents, new parents, at the end of every 4 hours.
Wow.
Regardless if I screamed or not.
Oh, they were training you. They were training you.
And good old me, maybe. My father tells me this a few years before he dies.
Wow.
He says, Mike, we're at the ocean in Brooklyn, near where he was born and grew up. Mike, I think I know why you're so stubborn.
Why you're so stubborn?
And he says, I held you down at the end of the 4 hours because we were afraid you were going to die, but we didn't want to break the rules. So
You're just like your daddy.
I hold you down.
You're just like your daddy.
I hold you down, and Mom pours some formula down your throat, and so you live. Because you don't want the food. You refused. You don't want to get into that program. And he remembers this and tells me, "Thank you, Dad."
Yeah.
Wow, is that a gift?
Yes.
And I tell him, as we're walking by the Atlantic Ocean on a beautiful spring day, I say, Dad, there's an old Hasidic and Hindu belief that you choose your parents.
Wow.
And I'm so glad you are a parent who could tell me these stories and let me know. And I would, if I had it all over again, I would choose you again.
You choose to be held down and have formula?
What I
Wow,
choose.
see, you just proved it. you have just proved the reality that everything is perfect, just as it is. We have come to the Edgar Snowden program to find that we are in the G spot of the comfort zone. And everything is just as it should be, just like the 90-degree weather. It's perfect. And what we need to do is build more pipelines to fathers like this.
So I tell him I would choose you again, Dad, and he says to me, he's sitting by hand on the guardrail, maybe needs help. Mike, shows you what a lousy job I did as a father, that you'd make such a dumb choice like that.
Oh, that, now there are levels and there are levels. I can see why you have so many levels. I think he was secretly pleased.
And then I tell him, Dad, there's even another belief.
Another layer. We're lubricating the layers. When I need to lubricate layers, I bring Mr. Mike for a mic check.
Schopenhauer says, we are spirits.
How many programs do you hear about Schopenhauer?
A philosopher.
Edgar Snowden, I'm so proud to bring you words from Schopenhauer. What did he say?
Who really didn't like humanity very much. He said that we are spirits, you and your brother are spirits in the atmosphere.
Doppelgangers.
And you help bring your parents together so you could be born through them.
Wow.
They feel what they feel, that little love, and that's you.
Wow.
Bringing your parents together.
Big responsibility.
Yes, so I said, Dad, I said, Dad, well, anyway, I won't bring that up in my story tomorrow. It's too
complicated. There are always verboten things, always things you should never say.
But this is my question.
He has a question.
Now
For you, my perfect audience.
Yes. Now, so this little baby that I maybe can begin to feel is me, has to learn his hunger is going to make him very unhappy because it's not going to be fed.
Wow.
So he has to learn. It's very Buddhist training. You're familiar with the strawberry story?
I am.
Right? You want to remind the audience?
Yes, the Buddha is being chased by a tiger, and he gets to a cliff, and there's a tiger on one side, but on the other side where he could jump, there's another tiger. So he slips off the cliff, and he's holding on to a root, and he's just holding on, and there's one tiger on the one side, and the other tiger on the other side, and he notices a little wild strawberry as this root is very slowly coming out of the rock. And he takes the wild strawberry and he says, "Ah, delicious."
Yes. So I think they were teaching me that. I can
Presents.
enjoy the hunger without the food. There's another story I don't think you know, similar. A Hasidic rabbi comes home.
Mm-hmm.
You know this one too?
I don't know.
He comes home at Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
His wife says, "Honey, we have no food at all. Zero.
Zero food on the
On the
Sabbath?
Sabbath.
No challah?
Nothing, no
No
bread,
Manischewitz wine,
nothing,
no gefilte fish,
nothing,
no herring with cream sauce,
no chicken soup,
wine
nothing,
vinegar,
no,
none of that.
And he starts to dance.
He starts to dance.
And his wife says, "Honey, Ralph, why are you dancing?"
I'm wondering
And
myself
he
why
says,
he's
"I'm
dancing.
celebrating the fact that I have a marvelous appetite."
That's good.
So
That's good. That reminds me of, like, there's another joke just like that.
Yes.
It's for old people. The old men tell it's about It's about still being able to get it up.
Yes.
When you go places and you see all these young women and you're attracted, and they're not at all, you're invisible to them and repulsive, but still you dance because you're excited.
You have a marvelous appetite.
Yes, you have a marvelous appetite.
So I think in their own way, well, who knows? They were teaching me to be Buddhist and to be aware and enjoy and not get attached to outcome. To just enjoy the hunger.
I think they were teaching you to be cerebral, to think it through, maybe even to overthink it.
Until I get it, and then
until you get
I
it,
have great teachers.
then you can go
great
to
teachers that I can say,
University of Chicago.
This is not just thinking; I have to live it.
Live
Enjoy the journey.
Wow, live it.
Now I have a question. So
he has another question. So you asked one question already.
Let's connect it, but on this TV show,
yes,
when we're sharing these stories, something happens to even this little baby that I'm reliving. When I'm reliving something and telling a story about it with you, you have a great spirit, and I partake in your spirit, and somehow this event, which could have been looked upon tragically,
it becomes a funny story.
Fun, at least it becomes a meaningful, fun story. And if I do it well, I don't want to take away and just make it a story. It's about
it's about your baby.
So what? And I would love to live this way, the way we are now. I'd love to be aware, and no, in some ways right now we're making...
I'd like to be fed as a baby, that's what I'd like.
Well, they did.
I think it's easier, and I had my mother who was not like your parents. She fed me.
That was when Dr. Spock took over. You were
Yes.
really younger.
Yes, I am.
Lucky, no wonder you're like as good-spirited as you are.
Oh, yeah, well, if you're lucky, first and last. That's the secret. If you're lucky.
So what's the connection?
Yes.
Because you're aware of, you do meditation, so you're aware of being awake. You aim to be awake, yes?
Aim, yes, every day.
And so what, I'd love to be, it's fun to be awake. You can appreciate the orange of your shirt.
Yes, and your shirt.
Yes, it's different orange.
Yes, you can appreciate differences.
Yes, appreciate your smile.
And similarities.
Your very fun, playful smile.
Yes, and you can take a deep breath.
So the question is, what's the relationship between, we could be having this conversation outside, we were. And now, when we have all our viewers.
Yes. Well, the previous was foreplay.
Yes.
And this is the time you have to get it up.
And this is ecstatic.
Ecstatic. Yes, orgasmic.
Because of the participation of the audience.
It's you socially Yes. The alleged audience.
Yes, that's
the purported audience.
Yes.
Yes.
But even imagining that they might be there.
Especially imagining. Especially imagining them to be multitudes. And perfect audience.
So what about when we're alone and we still have our stories, as you know? Right?
Very much so.
Can we be awake and enlivened in the same way?
Well, we are alone.
Right, but
right now.
But I'm with you too.
Both.
Both.
And neither.
So something...
And beyond.
Some spell happens when I'm telling a story and I'm awake that seems to be different. It seems the participation of the audience. My sister said this to me. She's a therapist.
Oh, your sister.
Yes. At least married to my brother, so I call her my sister.
Oh, God, no wonder
Yes.
sister-in-law.
Yeah. But and she says that when she, with a group of therapists, started learning Shakespeare to do Shakespearean scenes,
Mm-hmm.
it was way more therapeutic for her than all of her therapy.
Wow.
And I would like you to explain why.
She needs to explain why.
Yes. But because you're on now, but you're creating your.
I can explain certain things, but
Like now you're on this. You're creating the scene for your
it's a
beloved audience.
scene. It's the worst case scenario.
Yes.
Yes, for the Holocene, it's 90 degrees out.
Yes.
And we're going into 2020 hypo hindsight. And it's all going to happen. And we have to keep our minds on the existential threat deflation that's going on around us, which is the context for our show. And any perfect audience out there will know that this is grief work.
Speaking of
we're
grief,
grieving.
my last meeting with my dad.
Your last meeting with your dad, yes.
I drive up with my mom
Mm-hmm.
to their home in New Jersey.
Mm.
My father is living with another woman in Brooklyn.
Wow!
Yeah, we walked. But he's still married to my mom.
And she knows about all this?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And I greet him at the door and he says, typical, "Hi Mike, when you leaving?"
When you're leaving?
Yeah.
Did you take that as a friendly comment?
No.
It doesn't sound like a friendly comment.
No.
Your dad had some different aspects to him.
It's hard getting close to him. I know the feeling well.
Mm.
And then we're sitting down in the den. And
So what did you say?
I said, I have a train scheduled late at night to go back to Boston.
Mm.
And we're sitting in the den. You do not, I'll talk to him in person. You don't have your hearing aids, Dad. You left them in Brooklyn. So it's hard to talk. I have to talk loud, and somehow there was a bit of connection between us. And I'm really reveling in it. But they want me to be a Buddhist and not be attached to outcome, even at the end. My mother breaks a vase, bam, in the kitchen. Wow, this connection is happening.
Wow, your mother was just like your father.
And so we go and, we don't have to, but we go and pick it up, and that's the end of our.
Wow.
She might have wanted to be in on it. We could have been sitting in the kitchen and talking.
Well, but she has a funny way of making her wishes known.
Yes. So, but again, and I'm really hurt, and I go home and I'm in shock for about 2 days because I wanted to connect to my dad before he.
Well, that reminds me of a story I have with connecting with my mom.
Yes.
Just when she was dying, the very last time I was with her, I was reading this book by Eric Larson, and I forget what it was called, but it was about the Dodges, who were Mr. Dodge was the ambassador to Germany in 1932.
Oh yes, I've heard about this.
Yes, and and there's a whole story, but my mother and I, in the course of her death, one of the things I wanted to do was to read to her. So after we did a couple of books, we thought we might do a Carl Hiaasen book, because he's supposed to be funny, but neither of us really liked it very much. So we got on this book, which was, it's for someone who's dying, it's a pretty dark topic. And bad things were happening to certain groups of people, especially our group of people. But my mother and I were both enjoying this, and there was a particular person who was like a Harvard classmate of mine, and his name was Patsy Hempstengel. And Patsy Hempstengel, whenever I would say that, my mother would laugh. And so we were in the middle, we were like right at the end. It was like perfect. We were like a page and a half from the end, and I was reading to my mother, and I got to a line where I said, "But sie Hefstengel." And my brother, who's in the other room, comes in and says, "You know, I don't think that's appropriate for you to be doing right now."
Right in front of your mother?
Yes, stopping us from doing what we had been doing
Yes.
for the whole of
Oh, he felt
the process.
like my mother, he felt left out.
Yes, it was like breaking the vase. That's
Yeah.
what reminded me of it.
Oh my.
And it was
successfully somewhat, yes?
very successfully because, you know, I didn't want to get into, I mean, it was like close to her, I mean, it was really obvious that she was close to death.
I had that with women I get close to, and women I love who get close to me. When the love starts getting better, Putsy Hefstegel, and it's getting fun and alive, and it's too much for one or the other of us to handle.
But this is different because my mother and I were handling. We were actually
Yes,
like
you were
you and
great.
your father.
Yeah.
This is when there's a third person in the kitchen breaking a vase.
Yes, and my mother and I were able to do this alone. But
Yeah. So that's sad, and it's really hard then to relate to my brother, because just someone who would do something like that, it's inexplicable.
I know, it's understandable now that we're talking about it. Jealousy,
Yeah, maybe.
very understandable.
Yeah, but with such righteousness.
Yes, well,
it's just
jealousy knows
yes.
no laws,
It's
and so effectively.
mm,
Well, I understand, however, I can feel the sadness, and I have a tendency to not, and the screams and anger, and I think, you tell me if I'm being too polyamorous.
polyamorous. Oh,
What is it? Polyandra, whatever.
polyamorous means
yeah.
lots of anybody, anytime.
What's it? Well, anyway, I take it as also training.
Training. Well, that's
Buddhist training.
That's the high level.
Yes, it is.
That's the high level. And what's tricky about that is that you can say you take it as training, but the shortcut is to just say it. The real koan,
Is to do it.
yes, well, is to feel it, to feel it synesthetically, to feel it
In all
while lubricating all the levels.
and be willing to take a bite of the strawberry.
Yes.
There's another Buddhist story.
And to have created a space where if you're going to say this tastes marvelous, wonderful, that it's really true.
Yes.
You're not just saying
Yes.
that because you
True.
heard the Buddhist story.
Yes, although that might be step one, and then in 50 years you could get
Maybe, but 50 lifetimes.
Yes, you can't rush these things.
Yes.
Great stories.
Yes.
Now it seems to me doing this on television with you helps this happen. I'm not sure why, but it seems telling a story in front of an audience also helps me be awake. Because I'm aware of I'm more aware now than we were in the other room,
Yes.
that all my gestures, if I'm doing it well, looking at you and hopefully looking at the audience, and that attention helps me be awake. Big
Well,
time.
but I think what's happening is that there's something to be said for heightening the proscenium.
Yes.
That you're on stage with a heightened proscenium, and all the dress rehearsals have to be let go, and you have to perform your best in your performance Evaluation 360 Enlightenment Ensemble. You have to just let it all go and do your best.
And be helped by the spirit of your friends who are there.
Yes.
That seems to,
Yes.
I don't know why that helps me be awake, but it does.
Well, it partly is because I think you're improvising your exorcisms, because you have to
Wow.
exorcise.
That's worth saying again.
Yes, and I will when I feel like it.
We only have a minute to go on this show.
Well, let's take a deep breath.
That's less than we have less than.
And you have to exorcise that hungry little stubborn baby who, unbeknownst to him or her, is doing the opposite of what will ultimately allow them to let go of their hypertensions and hypervigilance and shame.
Yes, because they wanted me to be a free-spirited Buddha. They didn't know that.
They didn't know how to do the training.
Well, they did the training in their own way.
Yeah, well, that training that's hard training.
It's deep in us. We all have Buddha nature.
Yes.
And they needed it very much. Their marriage was challenged.